My name is Michael Stein. I work for the Organic Farming Research Foundation. I do not work for the USDA, but I know that there's a couple of folks in here, so when I talk about their programs, I might point them out and have them chime on in. So my organization is a nonprofit. They're based out of Santa Cruz, California. I work in Washington, D.C. on federal policies and programs for organic farming and organic agriculture. My microphone may not be on, which means the recording isn't picking it up, and that could be a big problem. How about that? Flashing.
Battery is dead.
Oh.
Hold on, I'm gonna plug it in somewhere, but maybe you can talk to this thing. Is that okay? Can you just hold that for a little while and I'll charge it?
Yeah, you're like a rock star. All right, y'all can hear me? Okay, excellent. So like I said, my name is Michael Stein. I work for the Organic Farming Research Foundation. We're a nationwide nonprofit that does research, education, and advocacy on organic farming and organic agricultural programs and systems. My information, my website is right out there, so is my email. And I've got a table here with lots of our guidebooks and information, and I'll be around today and tomorrow. So if you've got any questions before or after, I'll be around. I'll be happy to answer them as best I can. Or I'll send them over to Nate, because Nate has a lot of information and knows a lot of stuff, and he did a great job giving the lay of the land for organic certification. I'm going to cover a little bit of the programs and policies that impact organic agriculture. I'm going to go over a little bit of the same stuff that Nate went over about the National Organic Program. Because like he said, knowing what the rules and regulations are for organics are very helpful, not only for you and your operation when you're talking with your certifier, but also to understanding what's going on with the organic system. So I'm going to be talking mostly about the programs and policies that impact organics specifically, but I'm going to be covering some programs that are available to get you money that aren't necessarily organic specific, but can help farmers that are doing conservation programs or maybe transition to organic. So beforehand, because my presence here has been funded by the United States Department of Agriculture Risk Management Agency, I need a little bit of information from you. Now, if you don't trust the government, that's fine. I'm not going to give them your name, your information, where you're farming, what you're growing, what your revenue is, anything like that. I just need to know if you are a farmer, can you please raise your hand? I'm going to get a quick count. It's going to be ballpark. Excellent. Great. If you're a certified organic farmer, can you raise your hand for me? A whole bunch of them. Okay, excellent.
Testing.
Okay, great. Testing. Done with this, done with that, next one. All right, let's switch. Give you that, Okay, even better. Went through that. Anybody here transitioning or considering transitioning to organic? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Excellent, great, thank you very much. Now, this is a question that is a little silly because all farmers deal with risk all the time. But because this has been put forth by the Risk Management Agency, we need to know what types of risk you've dealt with. So raise your hand if you've got debts, mortgage, loan repayments, dealt with unpredictable markets or yields, weeds, pest disease, or catastrophic weather events. I expect all farmers to be raising their hands. All right, excellent. That's an easy one. I'll tell the Risk Management Agency all y'all are dealing with that. That's an easy one. And then anybody purchased crop insurance before? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Excellent. When we get to the crop insurance section, I'm going to call on you, all of you, because you're experts. You can help fill in everybody else on that. Thank you very much. So I'm going to go over a little bit of the Organic Foods Production Act. Nate covered it pretty well, so we're going to skip over that. For the most part, talk about the National Organic Program a little bit. Then we're going to jump into some of the NRCS programs, USDA funded programs that received some more funding in the last Farm Bill to support organic practices and support conservation on your farm. We're going to talk a little bit about FSA programs. There's an FSA table over there, so you can go bother them after my talk and say, I need that money. And let's see FSA printed over. Then we're going to talk about crop insurance for a little bit, and Risk Management Agency. Then we're going to go into the organic research and data collection initiatives. If anybody here's from NAS, good, we'll call on you at the end. Thank you very much. All right, so we're going to jump right into it, but it's policy, and so policy may not be the most exciting thing. I gave this talk at the conference in Wisconsin last week, and a couple of people look like that, so I get it. It's not the most exciting. We're going to try to have some videos and some jokes, but it's going to be a little dry, but we'll get through it, I promise. So law of the land, like Nate said, is the Organic Foods Production Act. These are the standards. This governs nationally how to grow and market certified organic products, ensuring that organic products are produced to a uniform standard, facilitates the interstate commerce of organics, and this law that was put into the books in 1990 is just the first step. There's a whole bunch of rules and regulations to be aware of based on the statute from the Organic Foods Production Act. The rules and regulations, like they said, are in the Code of Federal Regulations, Part 205. Contains all the detailed information about USDA organic standards. Good to know. Things like prohibited practices, no GMO, no biotechnology, synthetic fertilizers and pesticides that aren't allowed, no synthetic hormones or antibiotics, sewage sludge, things like that. It also goes over the production requirements, how you need to manage your land, how to build soil health and soil fertility, what nutrients can be used, ways to manage weeds, pests, and disease, seed usage, livestock production, origin. Now, lots of these rules and regulations are up to interpretation, and a lot of it is funded by the National Organic Standards Board, who puts out a list of prohibited materials and prohibited practices. The national list identifies the substances that may or may not be used in organic production, and that is all done through the National Organic Standards Board, the organic consumer and farmer and producer body that makes up and makes recommendations to the USDA on rules and regulations. Now, all of these rules and regulations go over to the National Organic Program. They develop and implement and administer all of the organic rules and regulations. They're the ones that do the accreditation of the state agencies like Dave was talking about, and the private organizations that certify. They also do deal with international trade, and they do the overseeing and enforcement of all of the organic standards. They do international trade. They make what are called equivalency agreements. So products from countries that we have an equivalency agreement with can come in and be sold in the U.S. as certified organic under USDA seal. Crops and products that you guys are selling and producing can be sold in other countries that we have equivalency agreements with under your organic standard, your organic seal. They do a lot of compliance and enforcement. They have a phone number. They have a hotline. So the gentleman that was talking about going to mills and seeing that there may be contamination, they have a phone number to call them up and say, there's this bin, there's this number. It's a government bureaucracy, and it takes a long time for them to move. So like we were talking about in the last session, if you see an issue that's happening on a farm or at a mill, talking to the certifier is the first step. If you call up the USDA, the first thing they're going to do is go to the certifier and look at the paperwork. But they do have organic enforcement division. They're not a law enforcement division. They're not the police. They also have limited enforcement authority, although that changed with the 2018 Farm Bill, where National Organic Program now has increased enforcement authority. But they got to give everybody due process. They can't come in and slap a fine right away on anybody. So the question about somebody's got a muffin, they're not just going to come in and fine people willingly. There's due process. There's also an appeals process, which takes a while to move through, which is part of the challenge that all of you have now that you peek behind the curtain of the organic sector, that there's some concerns and some challenges. NOP is doing their best. They got more money in the Farm Bill and more authority. But again, they're not the police. They're not law enforcement. They're doing their best to enforce the organic rules and regulations. But everything with this has to go through due process. You got a question?
The 2018 Farm Bill appeals process changed, or just the same time frame that it was?
For organic?
Just the appeals for whether when USDA comes and makes a decision.
The appeals process didn't change in terms of USDA going through the administrative agency. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking a lot more about the Farm Bill. So that means stick around with Jay. Stick around until 4 o'clock tomorrow when we're going to be talking about the Farm Bill. So like Nate already talked about accreditation certification, what the National Organic Program does. There's the website with a list of all the accredited certifiers in all the states and around the world, right there on that fun website that USDA puts up. Certifiers, like we said, work directly with the producers and handlers, conduct inspections, and comply with organic standards. They interpret the organic regulations, and sometimes they come up with slightly different interpretations, which is a good reason why you should have a good understanding of the organic rules and regulations. One example that came up a couple of years ago, which is what may not be applicable to you, but there's a number of hydroponic growers growing hydroponic tomatoes and cucumbers and peppers and things like that. Some certifiers around the country and around the world are certifying that as organic. Others are not, based on their own interpretations of the organic rules and regulations. Operations also pays certifiers to obtain their certification, which is a good thing. It's a business that's set up, but it can lead to some challenges when there is a multi-million-dollar dairy operation that is going to one certifier and saying, we really need you to certify us, and that is a big contract for a certifier. So it's not handled directly by the USDA, but they're handled by those third-party certifiers that are paid by the certificate holders. The National Organic Standards Board, like I said, is democracy in action. If you are not involved or paying attention to what's going on in your certified organic, I highly recommend that you do. Everything is available online. It's transparent. You can't make it to their meetings. They have meetings twice a year. They take comments via email. You can call in and give the 15 board members comments over the phone. It is democracy in action, but it is the best way for anyone within the organic community to raise up a concern or a challenge or an issue that you're dealing with that you feel like needs to be addressed by rules and regulations of the National Organic Standards Board and at the USDA. Like Nate said, it's made up of 15 members from across the community: farmers, producers, consumers, environmental analysts. There's a scientist, there's a certified agent, there's a retailer. They receive public testimony. They're going over all of the minute details with everything with organic standards, organic rules, and regulations. It's all posted online, it's all available, and I would recommend you engage, because the only way that we make this certificate and the standard better and more informed and more applicable for what you're doing is to have your input in this section. Now, it is messy. It's democracy in action. It's a lot of infighting. There's a lot of people that are getting mad about one thing, especially when it comes to a synthetic substance that has been approved for organics that may or may not be being removed from the list. And that can get very messy because it impacts people's production practices. It also impacts some big businesses. But I encourage you to get involved in the National Organic Standards Board's next meeting is April 24th in Seattle, Washington, if you want to take a trip. If not, you can get all the information online on how to put your comments either in writing or over the phone. One thing that Nate alluded to a little bit was the USDA Organic Market News. This comes out every week or every couple of weeks, maybe every month, depending on what commodities or crops that they're tracking. They're trying to get more information. They've got some more money to do so, but it does provide as best it can up-to-date market information on a wide range of organic commodities. Organic data and reports are available for a whole bunch of different commodities and crops. It's all available on USDA's website, ams.usda.gov. If you just Google Organic Market News, it's a good way to get a lot of information. Any questions on the National Organic Program? A lot of this stuff Nate already went over, so I may point to him if you've got a tough question. Yes, sir. You know all about this certification stuff. What do you got?
Is there any new thing that will help keep farmers be the main advisors on the NOSB, the National Organic Standards Board? I think it's getting contaminated with corporate interest.
Yeah.
They want to cut corners and still call it organic.
That's very true. The National Organic Standards Board is made up of folks from across the organic sector. There's a lot of big business and a lot of big money in organics. In fact, it's gone potentially the other direction. There are 4 farmer seats on the National Organic Standards Board. In the 2018 Farm Bill, language was passed that said that those farmers don't have to be owner-operators. They can be employees of a farm operation. That was in response to some lawsuits. There was somebody from Driscoll's, which is a large-scale berry grower based out of California. They got some operations in New Mexico. They had somebody from Driscoll's who was on the board of the National Organic Standards Board as a farmer seat. There were some lawsuits. The lawsuits were thrown out, but language was changed in the 2018 Farm Bill to say not only the farmer seat doesn't have to be an owner-operator, they can be an employee of a farm or farm business. So, depending on how you feel about some of those large-scale operations like Organic Valley, which is a $1 billion farm cooperative based out of Wisconsin, and this means that they don't have to necessarily be a farmer to be in that farmer seat. They can be an employee of a farm or a farm business.
What avenues do we have to address that?
Well, it was just passed in the 2018 Farm Bill, so the next avenue to address that legislatively would be in the next Farm Bill. There have been a couple of lawsuits of people that have been attempting to address that legally. They have not had good standing, in this legislative statutory language in the Farm Bill is going to make it even more challenging. The best way to challenge that or to be involved is to be at the National Organic Standards Board meeting or give them your thoughts and your input and your insight. They are required by law. They are a federal advisory committee. They are required by law to have public notice and comment and get input from each and every one of you. So that is the best and easiest way to make sure that the farmer voices is directly being heard by the board, is to be there or to put in comments in writing or over email. I think I see Nate's hand, which may have some more information. But yes, sir.
I was just going to say, the folks who are interested in changing the role of the farmer on the NOSB were not necessarily the NOSB. It was folks who had constituents in their districts, House of Representatives and Senators, had constituents in their districts who were receiving complaints about the power of the NOSB. And so they were taking those constituent complaints and saying, let's water down the board. In reaction, though, Organic Trade Association, Organic Farmers Association all started going to DC saying, here are farmers who are saying the opposite. We need a tighter standard board. So really, every time you have a chance to talk to your representative or senator and tell them, you're going to be like, I know this is very low on your, the things that are on your radar, but this is really important to farmers. So that when those trade organizations go in and kind of pings it for them, that, oh, the National Organic Standards Board, that's a good thing, and we want to keep it farmer oriented as much as we can. And so it's a lot of it is in the folks who write the Farm Bill, who are your senators and legislators.
And that's exactly the challenges we've got Farm Bill, and they're going to start writing it 2 or 3 years from now. But that's the challenge, and the pushback was from large interests that did not like the power and authority that the NOSB was having on the structure and the function of organic production. And they were pushing, these were large-scale corporate interests that were pushing to change the makeup or the authority of the NOSB. It could have gotten a lot worse. And some of the language and some of the draft language in the 2018 Farm Bill was seeking to take more authority away from the NOSB and give it over to the Secretary of Agriculture and change the makeup of the board even more. So even though this is not a good thing, we'll talk about this more tomorrow when we're covering the Farm Bill, it's less than what it could have looked like given the large interests that were pushing to take away the power and authority of the NOSB. We'll get to it. And if you've got any more questions about it, I'll be happy to talk to you since I get to go in Washington, D.C. all the time to talk to senators and congressmen. Any other questions on the National Organic Program? We're going to jump in. Dive deep into NRCS stuff. Who here works for NRCS? 1, 2, 3. Great. I'm going to go over it in very top line detail, and then I'm going to call on you to give some input and information for these folks here in the room. Anybody here in the room have an NRCS contract with something like EQIP, the Environmental Quality Incentives Program, or the Conservation Stewardship Program? Good, I see it on my hand right. Is it scary? Is it challenging to work with NRCS? Yeah, I see a yes, I see a no. What do you think? You're the tiebreaker. That's it. It depends on who you're working with. It depends on your age. We're going to go over 3 of the programs that impact organic farmers directly. We'll talk to the NRCS folks and we'll get some input from people that have these things. So CAP 138 is a conservation activity plan that helps farmers who are interested in transitioning from conventional farming practices to organic production, looking at the natural resource concerns of the farm and the operation. My understanding is that there's some technical assistance that's available. Finding a technical service provider through NRCS and completing a resource inventory supplement can help with your transition from conventional to organic practices. The first step is to go and talk to the NRCS person and hope that they can help you. And if they can't help you, there should be somebody in the state that can. Theoretically, there's a organic champion for every state at NRCS. There be the organic champions for your state. All right, we've got 2 of them in the room. Talk to them afterwards, that's for sure. There's also the Environmental Quality Incentives Program. This is another voluntary program to contract and sign up with NRCS that can provide financial and technical assistance to producers that are implementing conservation practices on your farm. There are some restrictions. You've got to be the producer. You've got to own and control eligible land. You have to have adjusted gross income of less than $900,000. There's a couple of other things that you need to comply with for highly erodible lands or wetland conservation. Wetlands may not be a problem out here. And you have to develop a conservation plan that addresses a natural resource concern as identified by NRCS. Payments are made upon completed practices, so things that you're doing out of your operation you can get money for. Rates are based on cost of implementation. Payment levels may not exceed $450,000 over a 5-year period, so there is some funding available through EQIP. There's also an EQIP organic initiative. This is a separate pool of money for organic producers. The amount of money is a little less than with the traditional EQIP, the Environmental Quality Incentives Program. So it's been a challenge. I don't know what's been happening out here, but around the country, most farmers are going into the general EQIP pool because they can get up to $450,000 over that 5 years. Whereas organics, it was a lot lower. In the 2018 Farm Bill, we were able to bump it up, but it was only bumped up to $140,000 over a 5-year period. But there are separate payments, separate bundles, separate things to look at for organic-specific conservation programs through the EQIP Organic Initiative. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the Conservation Stewardship Program. I pulled this off the NRCS website. Very nice picture of some farmers that are not only farming, but they are conservationists. Look at all that moisture they got on that farm. All right, Conservation Stewardship Program helps farmers expand and build on existing conservation practices. So this is the next level. This is if you've already done some EQIP stuff or you already have sound conservation practices that have been implemented on your land or on your farm. This is an opportunity to boost those practices with bundles and enhancements, management activities that go above and beyond kind of the first level or the base level conservation practices on your farm. Yes, sir?
Did that get nixed in this Farm Bill?
That did not get nixed in this Farm Bill. That was on the chopping block, and myself and a couple of other organizations were working hard, fighting hard to ensure that the Conservation Stewardship Program was retained in this Farm Bill. Not only that, but there's some language in this Farm Bill to ensure that every state is going to get some conservation stewardship money. Now, The implementation of that has not been flushed out yet. It was one line in the Farm Bill that said every state shall get CSP funds. Don't know what that looks like yet, but I'm talking to NRCS headquarters to see what's happening. Unfortunately, they were on break for 35 days and they're a little slow catching back up. Payments, these are contracts for 5 years. Payments are made annually based on these components, whether you complete an existing activity. These rates, I think, are still the same and haven't changed based on the 2018 Farm Bill, but NRCS is here and they can talk more about those rates in a hot second. They're based on bundles and enhancements and different things. There's a number of different bundles that are available for organic producers. Soil health, erosion, wind erosion, and there's a couple of pasture and range bundles for organic options. These are different conservation practices that can be bundled together that support the conservation stewardship program. That's all I've got on CSP. So are there any questions on EQIP or CSP or any information that the NRCS folks would like to dispense to the audience?
I think the scariest thing and the best way to describe it is if you have an individual project, I need a pipeline, say you're a lucky irrigator, or I need fence, or I need a filter strip, or I need one thing, you're equipped. If you want to look at a wide, your big picture approach in your whole farm, that's CSP. CSP can be more of a nightmare, but it's the beginning, easier at the end. EQIP is easier in the beginning and maybe a little more messy at the end. It's all got paperwork, but you're right, if you got a good conservationist in office, they should handle most of it for you. But the rates for CSP are a little bit different, they're gonna change it. Best thing to do is to go in, it's gonna be an individual. Just because Farmer Joe got X amount of dollars, your best bet is to come in and look at it yourself because every farm is different. But we are paid for practice. So for like pipeline, we pay per pound. Fence, we pay per feet. Wells, we pay per feet down. CSP, we pay you on a yearly basis. So at the end of the year, you have to give me a whole bunch of documents, and I get to go out and then take a look that you actually did all these documents, and you'll get one big lump payment. If the maximum is $40,000, it's up to $80,000 if you can do your joint venture with FSA.
So like I said, there's money available. There's funding available through NRCS to implement these conservation practices. There's technical assistance to help you. A lot of it is based on the person that you're working with. I've heard some horror stories. I've also heard some really great things where they walk you through every single thing. A little bit later, you put your practices in and you get a check. Do you have a question, ma'am?
Yeah, I was wondering about the conservation plan for the land. Does that have to go through some kind of authority for CSP to look at that and say?
So I'm the one.
You work with NRCS.
So I'm a soil conservationist. So I'm the branch of the office. They would say, I'm the person that's going to meet with you, do the program, see the paperwork, and then there's the state level. So I'm the one that makes the plan. So you're going to come in the office and you're going to say, hi, I have this land. You're first going to go to FSA first, do all their fun paperwork.
We'll talk about that.
Once you go into FSA, they're going to come into me. I'm going to go out to your ground and I'm going to take a look at it. There's the only thing that NRCS is regulatory is from the 1985 Farm Bill forward is the highly erodible land, which means that you have to meet T, which is your tolerable soil erosion, and also wetland compliance. I'm not going to say any more than that right now because it's a long, but I'll work with you individually. It's quick, it's fast, it's not scary. It's not like getting your organic claim. And he mentioned something on there called the technical service provider. Please keep in mind that NRCS actually has funding. It's per year, so it's not always there. That TSP can pay or can write your plan, and NRCS can pay for your plan and pay the TSP. There's just a lot of opportunities out there for funding. So just if you have an objective, go into NRCS, say this is what I want to do, that's nothing. And then let them know what you want and they're going to get it done. And if they don't, go to their DC and they'll get it done. You got to craft your soil conservation.
Right, exactly. If the person you're working with does not help you out, find somebody else in the office and talk to them. If they don't help you out, find somebody at the state office that's going to help you.
They'll call your boss, and trust me, their turnaround's about 30 seconds. State Con calls one of us and we're shaking and
Well, that's good. That's helpful to hear. Thank you very much. NRCS has a booth in the back. They'll be here for a while, so if you have any specific questions, feel feel free to reach out and talk to them. They're paid by your tax dollars to help you out with these things. We're going to talk quickly about Conservation Reserve Program, CRP. You all may be more familiar with it than I am. Provides yearly rental payment, environmentally sensitive land removed from agricultural production. Contracts to be 5, 10, or 15 years in length. Administrated by the FSA in conjunction with NRCS, providing some technical assistance on land eligibility. The land had to be in an agricultural commodity beforehand. It must be suitable for certain conservation practices that NRCS is going to take a look at. Payments include multiple components. There's a lot of pieces, a lot of parts. I do not have a lot of information about it, but it's something to think about. In the latest Farm Bill, I guess I didn't have anything in there. In the latest Farm Bill, like we were talking about a little bit, lands coming out of CRP can go right into organic certification. There's some concerns within the organic community, within some folks at NRCS, that's taking conservation land and putting it into production. Some folks would rather see that stay in conservation. However, the latest Farm Bill clearly states that land coming out of CRP can be transitioned and moved over into organic certified production right away, as long as you can prove everything you need to through your certifier. So there were some concerns about that, some challenges. Now there's some legislative language that says yes, land coming out of CRP can go right into organic production. So I saw some people raise their hand. Well, it's Cal because I'm from Wisconsin, and I talked with Wisconsin folks. That would they're all seen up there. Some of the other folks that have NRCS programs have worked with it. Any information you want to share with the folks in the room about what it's like, about the challenges, about what happened?
It's really easy.
Really easy. I like to hear
To a
that.
certain extent, I have no clue for the most part what I'm doing. And
But you're working with somebody that does.
yeah, and so I always go in because they send me a letter and say, hey, you need to do this, this, and this. And then I take it in and I go, okay, so you gave me this folder and it says everything that I'm supposed to do, but that was like 5 months ago. So what exactly do I need to do? And they've always been really good about saying, okay, well, we'll double check. So it's been really fairly simple.
That's good. That's good to hear. Thank you.
There's other programs besides the two that we mentioned too. I mean, I'm not gonna bore you with it because I could be here all day. But there's a lot of programs, and there's something called a targeted conservation proposal, which means that, like, let's say you have a bunch of organic producers in this region, and with your conservation district, and you want to get some special funds for it. There's a whole other avenue we can go down with special funds. Targeted conservation proposal, you need to work with your local conservation district and NRCS.
So the short story with most of my information is talk to your county person at NRCS. I'm going to talk with FSA, and the short answer is going to be, oh, go and talk to the FSA folks. FSA does administer the Conservation Reserve Program, and there's that transition that provides for transition incentive programs for retired or retiring landowners that want to transition their CRP land to a beginning farmer or socially disadvantaged farmer. There's programs that help transition that land to somebody that is a new farmer. And like I said, the 2018 Farm Bill allowed for CRP land to be transitioned to certified organic, and you can actually begin that transition prior to the expiration of the CRP contract. That was some of the language that changed in the Farm Bill. Beforehand, folks had to wait for the land to come out of CRP before they could certify organic. In this instance, you can start the certification process before the contract ends. The FSA office also administers the Organic Certification Cost Share Program. And they did a good job of talking about the cost of certification and what it means and what you have to go through. There's a program that is now administered through FSA that gives you some money to cover the cost of certification. It's only applicable after you are certified. So while you are transitioning, it does not help you out. But once you have an organic certificate in hand, you can go into the FSA office and they are going to give you some money to cover the cost of certification, up to 75% of your cost of certification, maxed out at $750 per certificate. So for example, if you are a certified producer and you've got a handling operation, you've got 2 organic certificates, you can get cost share coverage on both of those. It's a fairly easy program to administer. I haven't heard any problems with folks at FSA besides people going into the local FSA office and they say, I don't know anything about this. Well, then they've got to call the state person because it's a program. There's $8 million per year, give or take. That was allotted in the Farm Bill for this program. We haven't used much of it. Most of the organic, we're not using all the dollars that are available. So if you're certified organic, even if you think $750 is too small or not going to make a difference, I don't know anybody that's going to shake their head at $750. So go to FSA and get some money. That's the moral of that story. I've got a guidebook and a pamphlet all about that. It's pretty simple, but if you want, stop by my booth later on. I'll give you one of those handouts. FSA also has a number of loan programs. They're over there talking all about it. These loan programs can help you out. going to recommend going into debt all the time, but there's lots of programs that FSA offers and administers that can help you out. Loans and microloans up to $50,000, ownership and operating loans, I think up to $300,000. There's some emergency loans available through FSA if you have some disasters. There's a farm storage facility loan program that also helps you out. They're over there, they've got all the information on that. Now we're going to talk about disaster programs, the reason why I have money to come here. Everyone's favorite thing, crop insurance. I've got a whole guidebook on it, and I'll talk about that later. The first thing that FSA also administers is the Non-Assured Disaster Assistance Program, or NAP. If you're growing a crop that RMA and does not have crop insurance for it, if there's not a crop insurance program available in your county or in your area for a crop that you're growing, you can get it covered under the Non-Insured Disaster Assistance Program administered by FSA. I've got a guidebook on this as well on FSA over there to hopefully answer some of your questions. But it's a program that is meant to be disaster assistance, covers 50% of your loss, but you can have buy-up coverage. You can buy even more coverage, I think up to 65, up to 80% at this point. That can help cover you if you have a loss on your farm, administered through FSA. There's also some federal crop insurance programs that are administered through RMA and sold by independent crop insurance agents. I'm not going to get too in the weeds on how that works. If you're a crop insurance agent in the room, I'm going to call on you later, but if not, stop by my booth and we'll talk a little bit more about how crop insurance is administered. There's a number of different crop insurance programs that are available, but the main thing that they do, that are offered by the federal government, is minimize risk. This is part of the safety net for organic farmers. Some of them I talk to, especially in the Midwest and the Northeast, say, well, my diversification is my safety net, because I'm not going to lose revenue. If I lose my onions, I can sell my peppers for twice the price. But there's a lot of unpredictable things that happen that RMA can't cover, that crop insurance can't cover. Unpredictable weather, pests, yields, unpredictable markets, challenges with tariffs, and unpredictable prices, things that happen in the global markets that change how much you can sell your crop for. A lot of these things can be covered by different risk management agency crop insurance programs. It's just something to consider. I'm not here to tell you to buy crop insurance. I'm here to ask you to think about it. And there's a lot of things to think about when it comes to risk and risk management, risk assessment. You have off-farm income that acts as a safety net. Do you have significant loans that you're going to have to pay back that you may not be able to pay back if something happens to your harvest? Can you cover costs if you need to replant, or if there's planting delayed, if you can't deliver your crops to market? What happens? Do you lose buyers? We need purchase crops to meet contracts if the production's lowered. The main thing that I tell folks, if they have a big loan, think about crop insurance, or if you have more than 20% of your revenue in your field at one time, think about crop insurance. This is the way it works. This is a quick example. This is based on past records. If you're earning $1,000 in revenue on your farm, in the past you expect to earn $1,000 in 2019, you buy a crop insurance policy that insures up to 85% of your revenue. You can insure anywhere from 50% up to 85%. The cost changes depending on how much coverage you get, just like with car insurance or homeowners insurance. So you've insured $1,000 of your crop at 85%, you've insured $850 worth. Now hail hits and wipes out 50% of your crop, leaving you only with $500 in revenue. That means you're only going to get a little bit back. Theoretically, an adjuster is going to come out to your farm. They're going to take a look. They're going to say, okay, you had $1,000 in revenue. You were covered up to $850. You lost $500. We're going to pay you $350 as an indemnity payment. There it is, $350 indemnity. Now, same scenario. You're only covered $850. You have a little bit of flooding or hail or something else that happens. Brings your revenue down a little bit, only to $900. Even though you had a disaster, even though something happened, you didn't drop below your coverage threshold, and you're not going to get that indemnity payment. In this example, they only lost $100, and they're not going to get a payment on crop insurance. No indemnity. This is the crop insurance that most people know about. Multi-peril crop insurance that's offered through crop insurance agents. There's an organic price elect. So if you're growing certified organic crops, you can get your crops covered under crop insurance at a higher price. There's a list of them. There's, I think, 90 of them now that are organic price elect. But organic price elect and multi-peril crop insurance is based on your actual revenue history or your actual production history. There's different products that are available based on either revenue or production. Coverage level, like I said, can be anywhere from 50% up to 85%. These programs and products don't cover 100% of your farm, they cover a lot of it. And a lot of it is based on organic crop history. There's folks here that have had crop insurance before, usually are looking at your county average or your T yield. Is that correct? I'm seeing a couple nods. So when you're certified organic and you do not have 3 years, up to 5 years of your actual production history or your EPH beforehand, if you don't have that for your certified organic crops, you're going to be dinged. You're going to be having to take up to 65% of your county T yields on a non-organic crop And that's only what RMA and crop insurance will insure you at, only up to that 65% level for the conventional tea yields if you do not have that long-term production history. Once you've got that production history up to 5 years, then your actual production history will be based on what you're producing, what you produced in the past. But if you don't have that, it's going to be based on the county. Some counties around the country do have organic tea yields, but this is based on actuarial data. So the more folks that have organic crop insurance in those areas, the more likely chance there's going to be an organic tea yield. If there's not, you're getting dinged. That's something we're working on at the policy level, trying to ensure that a farmer that has 3 years of transition history theoretically should be able to use their actual production history while they're transitioning from conventional to organic to count towards their organic production history. Not the case. Right now, RMA looks at conventional as one line, transitional as another line, and certified organic as a third line. So we're working on that, but there is an option if you are looking for crop insurance and you have production history. We'll get to that in a little bit. Like I said, there are 70 organic price selects for the 2019 crop year. A whole bunch of them listed there. The organic prices are higher than conventional prices. It's not available in every state and every county. This is regular crop insurance. If you're growing cherries out here for whatever reason, there's not going to be crop insurance for cherries out here. Yes, ma'am.
Did they address the cover crop issue with RMA and how, like?
They put a line in the farm bill that says cover crop is now good farming practices as approved and authorized by RMA. They have not gone through any of the rule making or any of the implementation on that yet. But I know talking to farmers in Montana, they have a lot of challenges. I mean, you may know about this as well, but a lot of challenges with not being eligible for crop insurance because of cover crop termination dates set and that being outside of those dates for crop insurance.
Is it still considered continuous cropping?
They're still, right now, it is. The changes have been made legislatively, but RMA has not gone through the implementation process yet to ensure that cover crops are part of the good farming practices as approved by RMA. So we're working on it. If any of you have ever dealt with any of those issues, come and talk to me because I'm going to talk to legislators on Capitol Hill next week. And so you have an issue with that, we're going to go talk to RMA. We're going to talk to them and try and make that happen. I know folks from the Montana Organic Association have been pushing hard on this. Montana senators and the congressmen have been working hard on this issue, but it's RMA, and it's going to take a little bit of time to make the changes to ensure that it's not continuous cropping. There is a termination date for cover crops, and it is good farming practices for farming.
The entire NRCS has a problem with the cover crop NRCS. Please tell legislation.
I'll let them know. When you stop by my booth later, I'll take diligent notes and I'll go over there and write to them and talk to them about it. Yes, ma'am.
Does organic crop insurance cost the same as conventional crop insurance?
Nope. Organic crop insurance is insured at a higher price, and it's a different coverage level. It's a higher coverage level. However, RMA has an excellent cost estimator. You plug in your county, you plug in your crops, you plug in your acreage. It will kick out the dollar amount that you will be charged for crop insurance. You can even put in the level between 50% and 80%. I have the website up here in a little bit. Take a picture of it, write it down, or if you're Googling, Google RMA cost estimator. It'll give you the cost on what crop insurance will cost you. It'll give you how much you're getting subsidized by the federal government, and it'll give you your total payment amounts that you'll have to pay for that crop insurance, for that multi-peril coverage that you want. It's more than conventional, but there's some subsidies that are available in there. We'll talk about it. There's another program that subsidizes crop insurance even higher for folks that are doing diversified operations. But this is a multi-peril traditional crop insurance. It's not available in every state and every county, depending on what you grow. There's also what's called the contract price addendum. If you've got a contract to grow something even higher than the organic price elect, folks that may be in Montana that are growing kamut for Bob Quinn and they've got a contract for $22 a bushel for his heirloom wheat, you can get a contract price addendum to ensure your higher value crop at the higher level. There's a cap on it, but there is an opportunity if you've got a contract to insure at that higher price. Again, you need a signed contract with a buyer. It can't just be your buddy down the street and take a look at it. There's a number of crops. I think there are up to 90 crops now that can be covered through the contract price addendum. Again, it's got to be based on the multi-peril crop insurance. It's not available in every county, in every state. If you've got a contract and RMA, it has something in the next county over, there's opportunities to work with your RMA state agent to get a contract price for that crop in that county that you're growing, even if there's not one currently. It takes a little while. It may not be for this crop year. It may not be until next crop year, but there's an option to get that done. So this is the easy stuff. That's easy stuff. That's traditional crop insurance. You talk to an agent, you say, this is what I'm growing. You can look up to find all the information on USDA's website about what it will cost. There's the website. This is the actuarial information. This is the tool that compares the historical average, the prices, the yield data from your county for your crop. This is something I highly recommend playing with. It's not too difficult. You got to put in your year, your crop, and all that stuff. But this is to make sure that a crop insurance agent that you're talking to is not pulling the wool over your eyes. They are offering products that are available and underwritten through the risk management agency. All the prices are going to be the same for depending on the operation, depending on the county, depending on the crop. So all of that information in this year, this crop year, and previous crop years is all available online at the RMA actuarial browser. So this is a new product. We're switching gears a little bit, and I'll move quickly because I know I'm running out of time a little bit. This is for folks that have diversified operations. If you're not just doing wheat fallow, but you've got a number of different crops in there, it's not a multi-peril crop insurance coverage in your area. There's a new product that was put into place in the 2008 Farm Bill and implemented better in the 2014 Farm Bill called the Whole Farm Revenue Protection Program. It is available everywhere in the country for every single crop. There's some restrictions on livestock, but I didn't see any livestock producers raising their hands. Yes, sir.
Does that include hemp now?
That should include hemp down. I'll get to that a little bit. There's a listing, and there's a number of crops that you list, and hemp can be classified as an other crop. And so as long as you're classified as the other crop, I know this is being reported. There's nobody here from RMA. So I'm not 100% sure because, again, they haven't gone through the rulemaking and the implementation of the Farm Bill, but it should be including hemp, especially if you include it as an other crop, because this insurance is based only on your revenue. Doesn't matter what crops you're growing. It doesn't matter how many acres. It's based on your revenue that you're reporting on your Schedule F. Not all farmers, especially the ones I talked to in the Midwest, are always reporting their revenue on their Schedule F, especially if they've got direct market sales. But this is a product that is tied to your revenue based on your Schedule F. So if you've got sales from hemp, then theoretically, if something happens, you lose revenue, you can get a payment through the Whole Farm Revenue Protection Program. It covers your expected revenue or your historic revenue adjusted for growth. For example, if somebody is transitioning from conventional to organic, they have a revenue and they have revenue history, like we said before with that multi-peril, you get dinged down to that 65% of your county average TDO. With this product, the Whole Farm Revenue Protection, it's based only on your revenue. So if you can show that you have historic revenue and something happens and you lose revenue, the Whole Farm Revenue Protection is a good option that can come into play if you're transitioning to organic. Like I said, it covers all commodities. There's some caps. There's some caps on nursery products. There's some caps on forestry products. There's a cap on livestock up to $1 million. And there's also a cap. I think it can only insure up to $8.5 million in loss for the Whole Farm Revenue Protection. So if you've got generating millions and millions of dollars of revenue, there is a cap on the Whole Farm Revenue Program, but it's a pretty substantial one. So things that aren't covered by Whole Farm Revenue, something with quarantine or boycott or refusal of a commodity, deterioration of a commodity and storage is not covered, measurable decline in local prices, and things with yield if there's something with negligence or mismanagement or an active person like chemical or GMO drift or breakdown of equipment or even theft and vandalism. These are things that are not covered by this Whole Farm Revenue Protection Program, but it's going to impact your revenue. Other than that, everything that you list on your Schedule F is based on your history of your revenue, and it'll be covered by RMA's Whole Farm Revenue Protection Program. The challenge is you need 5 years of data. You need 5 years of Schedule Fs in order to be eligible for this. If you're a beginning farmer, under USDA's definition of farming 10 years or less, you have to have 3 years of revenue data before you can be eligible for the Whole Farm Revenue Protection. So it's a good product that's available, but you need to have some records and some history to be eligible for it. And again, it's based on your Schedule F, and it's got to cover your 100% of your operation. This is a little bit small, but the federal government is incentivizing this program and giving it an even higher subsidy because the USDA and the Infinite Wisdom in Washington, D.C. has determined that the more diverse you are, the less risky you are as a farming operation. So if you have, let's see, if you've got one commodity crop, you're only growing one crop on your farm, you can get insurance at the 50% level all the way up to the 75% level subsidized from 67% down to 55% the higher coverage you get. If you're growing 2 or more commodity crops, you can get this subsidized up to 80%. So up to 80% of your costs for the Whole Farm Revenue Protection Program can be subsidized by USDA RMA. There's some pros and cons. It encourages diversification. Doesn't matter if you're on high-risk land or highly erodible land, this product is available everywhere across the country. The one big challenge, because it's based on your Schedule F, your taxes, you don't get a payment until you file taxes in the next year. That can be a big challenge for farmers that are getting a big ding on revenue. Payment's not going to come in right away with Coal Farm Revenue Protection like it is with traditional crop insurance, where you get a payment after you get an adjustment out there. Just things to think about. If you've got organic history or not, if you got diversification or not, if you're filing a Schedule F or not. These are things to think about. I've got them all listed down in my pamphlet as well, and we can talk about them later on if you've got any questions about the Coal Farm Revenue Protection Program. Working with the crop insurance agent, if you're organic, make sure they understand what you're doing. A lot of farmers are going to have to spend a lot of time educating those crop insurance agents and adjusters. These people are in business. Call them up. If they don't know what certified organic is, or they don't know about these different products or different programs, call up somebody else. There's some folks in here that raise their hand that have had crop insurance in the past. They may know some good agents that understand organic production, but these folks are in business, and if they're there to help you out. If they're not able to help you, I recommend calling somebody else. Always take pictures. They're always going to want to see what's happening when you're filing a claim. You've got to file it timely. Not every agent and not every adjuster understands organic certification, organic crop rotation. Take pictures so you can show them what a good organic farming practices look like before and after they come out of your farm, before you have a disaster and afterwards. You can find a crop insurance agent online. USDA has a good tool that's available online. You can search within your county, within a radius. You can change from 50 miles up to 500 miles. It's a good place to get names and phone numbers of folks and call them up and find out if they can help you out. Like I said, I've got a guidebook over there that's available. I've got 50 or 60 of them, and I've got to give them away. So if you want to grab them, grab them. I got a time check. How much more time I got? Are we done?
4 minutes.
4 minutes. Good. We're going to get to questions about crop insurance and stuff later on, so I can get through this. There's a whole bunch of data and research that's available through USDA. They collect a lot of it. This is what I get to work on all the time. There's more money available for organic research funding through the USDA. Go to land-grant universities. I would encourage you to call up your land-grant university, find out who's doing research at the land-grant university. I know there may be 1 or 2 people in the room. There's going to be more money for organic research, up to $50 million in the next couple of years through an OREI program. The SARE program at Montana State just got a bump up in money too, so I recommend reaching out to your land-grant university, find out who's doing organic research and telling them that there's more money available, encouraging them to apply, and if they're working with the farmer when they apply, it can even help them out a little bit. More money, up to $50 million for OREI, the Organic Ag Research Extension Initiative in the Farm Bill. The ORG, the Organic Transition Research Program, just got bumped up to $6 million annual funding. This looks more at the environmental and health benefits of organic production. This is a map of where there's been organic research around the country. Not that much in this region yet, but we're looking at some of the researchers over there, trying to get them to apply for some more funding to do some more research. SARE program, like I said, is a Sustainable Ag Research and Education Program. For the Western region, it's administered through Montana State. They're funding a lot of good research in this region. And all their research is available online on SARE website. Organic surveys, NAS is in the back of the room. I've been pushing them to do an organic survey all the time. If you're an organic farmer, I know you don't like getting surveyed all the time. They just finished the Big Farm survey. Theoretically, there's going to be an organic producer survey rolling out this year at the end of 2019 with data coming out on 2020. It's helpful, theoretically. Still need $2.5 million for that one. But it's helpful for the organic community overall. It provides a lot of information on organic crops, organic prices, organic changes in land. And I encourage you, if you get this survey, to fill it out. It's always very helpful. It's vital to the organic sector. Surveys are very helpful for us at the federal level when we're advocating for organic programs. The more information we have about farmers on the field, the better we can advocate to Congress and USDA about what needs to get done. ERS Economic Research Service has a ton of free information on the economics of organics. Their research is all over the place. They research whatever they want to research and whatever Congress asks them to research, but they have a whole bunch of great information. So if you are looking for data for research on the economics of organics, check out USDA ERS Economic Research Service. USDA Agricultural Research Service, ARS, is doing a lot of good work on organics as well. There's good research out of North Dakota on organic dryland farming systems. If you don't know about it, take a look, find out, Google ARS North Dakota, find out what they're doing. A lot of it is crop-livestock interaction, but they've got a lot of good information coming out of that. And that's the end of my presentation. And I think I got 35 seconds to spare. That was a lot of information. I'll be around if you've got more specific questions about your operation or what's happening, but we got a minute or two for questions on any or all of these topics that we've covered very quickly. Anybody got any questions on research, on crop insurance, on disaster assistance? Yes, sir.
Just a comment, there seems to be a little more emphasis and interest in companion cropping. And when it comes to crop insurance, sometimes you can't get it insured, but under whole farm revenue protection.
Under whole farm revenue protection, you can. And that's the challenge with multi-peril crop insurance. They're only going to insure one crop. They can't insure two crops. They don't have actual insurance to do that. But under the whole farm revenue protection, that's where hemp falls in. You can list an other crop as one of your crops. Anything that you're generating revenue from, it'll be covered under the whole farm revenue protection because it's not based on your production. It's not based on if you're intercropping or if you're companion cropping or if you're no-till cover crop or whatever it is. It's only based on your revenue. So whatever you're doing that generates revenue, that can be covered by the whole farm revenue protection program. So there's a lot of good rationale behind it because of the challenges that folks have had with the multi-peril crop insurance, because of the concerns they have over cover cropping and things like that. All of those things are covered under the whole farm revenue protection. It can be done. And the way that the whole farm revenue protection works, it asks you to list your top commodity crops or the top things that are generating revenue. It's got to be produced and sold from your farm. As long as those things are generating revenue, you'll list the top 3 or top 5, and then everything else goes into the other category. So you can list that as other if it's generating revenue for you on your schedule. Does that make sense? I see the boss coming to kick me out. So thank you very much. I'll be around. I've got lots of guidebooks and information. Come over and grab it.